Good evening, everyone. We'll call to order at 6:33. April, if we could have the roll call.
Ms. Ford?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Tawari? Mr. Tawari? There you are. Mr. Tawari, can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yes, there you are. Wonderful. And Chairwoman Duval?
Here.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. If we could do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. In accordance with the provisions of Chapter 231, New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the giving of notice to the Carrier News, posting the agenda in the public lobby of this building 48 hours prior to this meeting, delivery of this notice to the Franklin Township Clerk at least 48 hours prior to this meeting, and mailing notice to those persons properly requesting to be mailed notification of meetings at least 48 hours prior to this meeting. If I could have a motion to open up the meeting for public comments.
Motion.
Motion by Ford, second. Roll call, please.
Who did the second?
I started to, but being an alternate, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to.
You are true, Mr. Bernstein. Arnold, Commissioner Schmidt is eligible to vote this evening. We have 4 people, 4 commissioners here.
Then he's eligible.
Okay, thank you.
Then I will complete my second.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Okay. Ms. Ford?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Tawari?
It's a yes vote, folks.
Okay.
Pardon?
We're calling for a yes or no vote.
Oh. Yes.
And Chairwoman DeVoe?
Yes. Can I have a motion to close the meeting if there aren't any public comments?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, or can we go by
In favor.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public meeting has, public comments have been closed. The approval of the minutes from the reorganization board meeting on February 2nd, 2021. Can I have a motion to move the reorganization board meeting minutes?
Motion.
Second.
Schmidt.
Those who are in favor?
Roll call.
Aye.
Oh, roll call for this.
Ms. Ford?
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Tawari? I can't hear him, but I see him saying he's in agreement there.
Aye.
Okay. And Chairwoman DeVoe?
Yes. If we could approve the working session monthly board meeting minutes for February 2nd, 2021. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
And second,
Second,
roll call, please.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
yes.
Mr. Tewari, and Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to the executive summary and professional reports.
All right, thank you, Chairwoman. To all the board members, if you look at this report, you'll notice it is significantly different from the past. If anyone has not seen it yet, I could share my screen and put it up there. Has everyone seen the executive summary report, or did you receive it?
No.
No.
So,
Okay. It
I'll-
was sent- everyone should have it in their FTSA email and also in Dropbox.
Okay, so this is basically it. This replaces the form.
Because I don't think I can hearing everything or
Excuse me, Commissioner? Commissioner, were you saying something? Okay, so in the past, this summary report was only listing the active projects. And I thought that that wasn't necessarily the best looking glass for the board members and the public. So I basically did two things. I listed all of the projects we have on the board, and we'll go through them quickly unless someone has something more in detail to discuss. I also created a project index that I'll be sharing with the board. That's this document that listed in spreadsheet format.
Joe, can we zoom it just a little? My eyesight is not great to begin with, but thank you.
Okay. So just a spreadsheet. This first column is listing the name of the project. This next column is listing the engineer assigned to it, or if it's in-house or hasn't been determined. The year that it was authorized to begin, the year that it completed. All right, the authorized budgeted amount, what we spent on it so far, and the overall color status, green, yellow, or red. The reason why, one of the reasons I produce this document is, again, to help current and new board members have a high-level view of the status of the authority. Here on this number, I added up all the projects and the authorized budgeted amount, which is just under 18 million. This is what we've spent on all of them so far. And then if you notice, I color coded each year the background for the year it was the authorization was to begin. So you can see 2021 had a lot of the projects, which will probably get some of them will get moved to 2002 because we're only scheduled 2 projects for 2022, where there's probably too many for 2021, and there's only 1 for 2023. I also then added up those categories down here on the authorized budgeted amount. So going back over to this report, if you notice, I kept the same. Here you see the name of the project, the engineer who is assigned to it, the color code, the year it was authorized. This is similar to that spreadsheet. The authorized budget amount and what we've spent to date. And these are general numbers. so they're not exact. And then just for the benefit of our meeting, I'm just going to note any significant or topical item to discuss or for me to communicate to the board and the public. It certainly is not all inclusive. This is just a summary to give you an idea of where the project is. And if at any time the board chooses to discuss in more detail or a member of the public, they certainly are at liberty to do so. So moving forward under legal, our board attorney is actively working on a Somerset Street neighboring vacant lot easement / acquisition. That's our Somerset Street pump station is not only built next to a vacant lot, but we laid down a sewer line pipe across that lot without getting the proper easement. And as you know, we've discussed it in the past, that land has since been purchased, and that new owner is now an owner that has not given us an easement across his property. So we either have to pay him for an easement or we're going to have to buy the lot. He's also working on the New Brunswick sewer bills. This is going to be, unfortunately, probably a longer process than we're comfortable with, but it's going to be unavoidable. But we're in a good position with the science and the data and the facts. And I think some of the people in New Brunswick are going to be unpleasantly surprised on how weak their position is. Our attorney's still giving us legal supervision on all our projects. And our Western Canal Forest Main emergency purchase agreements, he's given legal supervision on. Marcy Street was awarded to JOMED. Pre-construction meeting was held. It's moving forward. And our engineer had a pre-construction meeting with himself, FDSA staff, and DEP on February 18th. And currently they are completing the contracts and the scheduling of the project. Hamilton Street is basically complete. I would say, unless Joe wants to correct me, 99% complete. And currently it's in full operation. It's operating right now under a temporary CO. The permanent CO will be issued sometime after the final inspection and the soil inspection. Some of the open items are somewhat menial in comparison. That would include putting up the chain link fence permanently and the landscaping when weather is permitting. The East Millstone Pump Station Rehab Project, the bids were received, reviewed, and recommended. The lowest bidder was DeMayo at $992,000. I believe we have, April, we have a resolution tonight to award that bid, or?
We do.
Yes, thank you. We did receive objections from bidder number 3 from Delane Contracting regarding bidder number 1 and number 2. I don't know what I could articulate if that's beyond the attorney-client privilege, but we're in a good position, in my opinion, to award the bid tonight. The high bay garage is still suspended temporarily. Somerset Street Pump Station Rehab is still yellow. If you recall, for historical reference, we are completely redesigning that project because of changes in our circumstances. And when we talk about Somerset Street Pump Station Rehab, it's really in the same breath of talking about the Brookline Avenue sewer shed rehab project, because they're very closely tied. So we had, before I went on vacation, we had a major meeting with the IBank, New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, CME, CDM, Eric Bernstein, Christian Santiago, Scott Nocero, April Roach, and myself. We had everybody from every team on this meeting because it's important for us to not only get financing for this project, but we have to do it in such a way that there's no delay and no mistakes. I was personally impressed by both of those teams from the iBank and the DEP. They were very cooperative, they were very knowledgeable, and more importantly, they were very inspired to make sure we were successful. Both of these projects, well, the pump station rehab, we kind of knew what costs we were facing, but the Brookline sewer shed area rehab, that's now jumped from a concept notion to a high priority project because the I&I in that system is now deteriorating at such a pace that Scott Nacero and his crew with the pump station pumps and the external bypass pump on 2 different occasions, they couldn't even keep up with pumping and they risked an overflow. So now the DEP agrees with us. We are now in emergency situation or near emergency, and they're going to give us high priority as such. Because if we fail to maintain the proper flow out of that pump station, that will result in that flow going into a major ravine.
I haven't done
All
it.
right.
Joe, Commissioner Ford is having troubles hearing the video. She can't hear anyone. And Commissioner Tewari is also having the same. So they're both going to be calling in. Do you want them to disconnect their video and just call in?
Yeah, that'd probably be best.
Because that'll dismantle the interference. So I'll send them both another text and tell them to come off video and stay on audio.
Okay.
Okay.
So as I was saying, if we don't act fast, one, we won't get emergency funding from the iBank and the approval from the DEP. But most importantly, we will contaminate a major brook that runs between Franklin and New Brunswick that also would contaminate potentially the Delaware Raritan Canal and the Delaware River. And that could result in unlimited amount of money in fines and, you know, all sorts of trouble. So we have no choice but to make these 2 projects priority. The engineering agreements and the planning documents are supposed to be submitted as soon as possible to the NJDEP for funding to begin. And a temporary, a super permanent step in this process is before we're going to have to rent a second bypass pump. So the current pump right now, the current temporary external pump is not pushing enough water when we're on bypass. So we're going to need 2 external bypass pumps. One basically will be dedicated to sucking the sewer out of the wet well, and the second pumps will be primary focus will be pushing that flow into the forced main. That's the only way we can keep up with the needed volume. So before I continue, Joe, can you confirm that you guys are putting together your engineering agreements and the planning documents for your piece of it?
Yes, that's correct, Joe. I met with Mike. We're finalizing that and we should have it over to you in the next day or 2. We have started work on the DEP submission as well.
All right, good, because my understanding is nothing can happen until we finalize that.
Correct.
Okay, all right, so jumping right over to the Brookline, I am calling this a near emergency project. The funding process will begin in conjunction with the Somerset Street Pump Station Rehab. Again, I just repeated what I said in the last project about the major meeting. Eric, I have a question for you. Are you still online, Eric? Eric Bernstein? Okay, so for the benefit of the board, my question to Eric Bernstein is, do I need authorization from the board in a manner of a vote to proceed with Brookline, and how, what does that authorization look like? So we'll circle around with that, but I need to know if the board has to act on that officially tonight. The pump impeller rehab, that's being handled in-house by Scott Nacero. That project is continuously progressing without exception. The Wesson Canal force main, as you recall for the last meeting, that is another emergency project. So we have 3 emergency projects going on as we speak. We had a site meeting with the authority staff and Lucas Construction. The project summary, I asked our engineer to give us a project summary and cost estimate. They issued that to me. The reason I asked that is I wanted a summary of what needs to be done, who it needs to be done by, and I want a cost from beginning to end. So there's no mistake of what our financial exposure and our liabilities are. And I got that. Thank you, Joe, for providing that.
No problem.
We'll be doing something very similar with the Somerset and Brookline project once we move down the road. The manhole rehab, that's also being handled in-house. That project is continually progressing. E1 grinder pump replacement, also in-house, progressing nicely. Campus Drive sewer shed rehab, that has not begun. That will sometime in the future. Commerce Street pump station rehab. Once we get past, again, some of these projects that haven't begun, once we get past these emergency projects, we gotta rush, or I should say not rush. We need to commence without delay on some of these. Campus Drive and Commerce Street are both on that list. Same thing with the Hamilton Street watershed rehab. Brookline Street paving, that won't begin until after the Brookline sewer shed project is completed. Foxwood Drive sewer shed, again, these are all in the category of, if we don't rehab them, we're going to be endlessly in perpetuity see an increase of our MCUA expenses. Office restructuring is basically done. My office is the last piece, and I think all we have to do is repair some of the walls in here and paint, and hopefully that'll come off this list pretty soon. We're within budget. The Sewage Authority roof rehab, this is an important one. It's $180,000 we put aside. We haven't begun that. April is going to begin probably reaching out to vendors and getting quotes. Probably have Scott Nacero kind of take a look at them as well, or potentially our engineer as well. But our roofs have been in need of being rehab. Same thing goes with the windows and door replacement. I could tell you by experience, these windows are far outdated, and the one behind me has even got the moisture in between the window panes. So the Brookline land acquisition easement, again, that's that lot we just spoke about. It's right next to the pump station. The line going across the lot in one sense does make it kind of unbuildable, but we believe it was unbuildable anyway. Eric and I had a meeting with Pete Lanford, who represents the landowner. I have a lot of experience with Pete Lanford. My 14 years on the planning board, he represented at least 60% of all applications. He's a fair guy. He's aggressive. Commissioner Tuari, I muted you. Stay muted because you're having feedback. So we either
Should
have
be
to,
okay now, sir. Should
yes,
be all right now.
okay, you're good now. So basically, we have to either pay for the owner to give us an easement across the lot, or we're gonna have to buy the lot from him. It's probably easier and better to buy the lot from him, but then the question will be, how much are we gonna pay? You know, we're obligated morally and professionally and statutorily to give him fair value, but, you know, that's an artistic license sometimes to determine that. So what I did was, with the help of Eric and with the help of Scott, I basically took some aerial photos from Google and the surveyor, and I sent them over to Franklin Township's public planner, Mark Healy. And I said,
Mr. Danielson, can we not go into these conversations, please, in public?
okay. Yeah, so anyway, so that's it. So
Suffice to say, we're in the process of dealing with it.
correct. However, Eric, for budgetary purposes, I need to probably list this on the budget, which would be public.
I don't have a problem discussing that we are allocating funds for the possible acquisition of either an easement and or the property in question related to the situation. The rest of it,
There you go.
the rest of it involves potential negotiation and or attorney-client privilege or other matters, depending on anticipated litigation.
Okay, we could go, since we're going into executive session later, should we also add this to the executive session list?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Eric, while you were away, I had a question regarding the Brookline watershed rehab that we had the meeting with DEP and iBank. Do I need, does the board need to take official action to authorize us to commence and engage our vendors and so forth? Or do I,
Yes.
okay, so at some point later in the meeting, you're gonna have to kind of script what we have to do.
Bring it up, we'll deal with it.
Okay, where best, April, where best would you suggest we handle that in the agenda? New business?
Actually, you can do it at the end of your executive project summary. That way it's in alignment.
Okay, all right, I'll add one other thing is the general engineering by CME. CME's been extremely resourceful with dealing with the New Brunswick sewer bill issue that we should, I don't think we should go into those details either. And the Western Canal Force Main rehab, very instrumental. So board members, chairwoman, that concludes my my executive project summary status professionals report.
Joe, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If you could go back to that one page with all the finances, the chart.
Yes, and also just to let you know, Artie, all board members, I plan on hooking up with each and every one of you individually and going over these two reports plus another two reports for an overview, you know, just one-on-one, just to give you a different optic of what's going on in the authority.
So my question is, in the very first line, Hamilton Street, it looks like it went over budget by $1.25 million approximately. And I'm wondering if you could scroll down, is that 1.25 reflected in that $17.9 million budget?
No, I mean, oh wait, hold on. Geez. 24, 223. 205.
I'm just curious if you adjust that, if you go over by 1.25, then the budget has to go up. So I was just wondering if it will be reflected in that number
No, I
now
mean,
or.
right, so so all these projects are in our budget that we submitted to the state, right?
Mhm.
And this is the number we told the state, so those numbers are not discretionary to me. In column G, the spent item, this is what we spent on this project, and this is really transparency to the board. That's why I did it. So they're independent of one another. So we spent 3.7. That's only reflected in the spent column. Now the question is, how did we go over 1.2 million? I don't know. I just got that number today. Today's my first day back from vacation, so I have not further examined Ginny's numbers that she gave me, but I'm obligated to give you this number because that's what my staff member has given.
Okay, Joe, if I might, the original budget was, I believe, stricken during the planning process, and it was refined as the project progressed and went through the funding process, and then the loan was closed at the higher amount. And in fact, we had budgeted or bonded with McManaman 4.5 million to reflect the loan amount of through the iBank. So I think that the 2.5 may be an early number.
Okay, but the 3.7 million that's the sum of all the checks that we issued for that project.
Correct.
Right. And another thing, another change I made is, so we're, me and April and the staff, the billing and accounting, I'm in the process of doing a financial forecast for the board. This will be a forecast at least 24 months out, and hopefully that'll be the cornerstone of my 5-year planning that I'll be presenting to the board. But one of the only way we were able to put this report together is to know what we have spent on projects. We never really put those numbers together in-house. We've always kind of relied on the engineers from their perspective to give us a construction cost update. You know, they usually say, all right, we're 50% completed the project and we're say 47% within budget. That's only for construction. That's not the overall cost of the project. So every time we cut a check that's involving one of our projects, we're now coding that. We had to go back on some of these older projects like Hamilton Street, Somerset, things like that that are still going. So we have historical data. But going forward, most importantly, is all these are going to be coded. So if any board member says, hey, Joe Danielson, what did we spend? I'll know. So knowing that for the financial forecast, I just put the spreadsheet together and I'm going to be reporting this every month if you ask for it or not. So Artie, back to you.
I guess I have a feel for it. I have an understanding, and it's actually, I guess from what he just said, it's going to be more like a $4 million or maybe quite a bit more than the 3.7 already spent. But he said that's already been bonded for. So, okay, I understand.
Yeah, and you know, and we also already also know that we also discovered that there were a couple of projects, at least 2, maybe 3, that when we budgeted, we were only budgeting for construction costs and not all the costs. So now going forward, I'm making sure that our engineers understand that I'm demanding the cost estimate for all the costs from soup to dessert, you know? Also, I color coded each year. I want you to understand that. And so you could see which year is the busy year, which one's not. We're gonna have to make some adjustments, and I have it broken down, the cost of, the sum of each project, down to per year. So you can see there's a disproportionate number on the authority for us to get a lot of projects done this year. It's probably, it's certainly a little bit unrealistic, so I'm probably gonna have to move some of these projects out to other years, because that's just not gonna happen, because we have 2 major projects going on right now and 2 emergency projects going on right now that, you know, we really can't divert our priority away to some of these non-priority projects.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? A question I do have is for Somerset Street Rehab. We're still in the process of submitting the documents, correct?
Yes, the most important documents for Somerset Street and Brookline sewer shed have not been submitted yet. Both engineers have to submit the similar documents. They'll submit it to, you know, for our review, and then they'll be then submitted to the state.
Okay. And Brookline, is that won't be a separate submission? That will be in conjunction with Somerset?
Yes, they are closely tied to one another. So it will probably be 2 separate projects and project numbers under the same loan. Joe Jamel Howard, do I have that right?
That's correct, Joe. Yes.
Howard, do you concur?
I think I agree. I think that's correct.
Yeah, because you know, it's the Brookline watershed, the collection system, the pipes that collect the water. That's the problem, but that system is sending that problem to the pump station that can't handle it.
Right.
So I just want to stress this: it's really a three-phase thing. Correct the source of the problem, but then in the interim, we have to add a second bypass pump, just so we get to the point where a more permanent bypass pump that can handle it on itself will be installed. The last thing I want to stress to the board members is this: after we repair all those collection lines that we own in the Brookline sewer shed area, we may still have a problem. But that problem will not be on our property, it will be on the homeowner's property. So I don't want you to, you know, be shocked with your disappointment if the problem doesn't go away. I just want you to be simply disappointed, not shocked and disappointed, because the problem may be on the homeowner's property. We won't know, but we have to eliminate that variable. It could be the homeowner's pipe that's leaking that they don't even know about. It could be the homeowner's sub pump contributing to this. We don't know, but we have to eliminate the fact that our pipes are leaking, which they are. So part of this Brookline sewer shed rehab will include a percentage of the lateral pipes that go beyond our main lines to rehab them as well. So we're trying to eliminate as many of the variables and leaks in the sewer shed area as we can. And if the problem still exists, then we're going to do further, more aggressive investigation on where these leaks are coming from. But the problem in Brookline is the same problem we have, you know, Campus Drive, Foxwood, Hamilton, Marcy Street. This is just a really bad problem right now.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, moving on to the executive director summary.
The executive director's report?
Yes.
Okay. So as of February 28th, for checks, we received $3,080,704.48. Year-to-date collected, we received $11,433,461.87. We have an open balance of which does not include metered clients of $7,935,447.29. Penalties generated in February were $15,046.22. The revenue to date, we're at 96% from our sewer rent category, which is really good. We're at 91% overall, which is really good because we were at the 75% calendar mark. We're 9 months through a 12-month cycle. So this is really good news for us. That means people are paying their bills and paying them mostly on time. And we're kind of ahead on schedule as it comes to our receivables. Our expenditures this month are $777,394.35. Our year-to-date expenses are $6,356,587. I'm sorry, and 39 cents. I'm sorry, I got distracted. $6,356,587.04. So our expenses that we budgeted for, we're only at the 54%. We're only at the 54% mark of our budgeted expenses, but yet we're at the 75% mark on the calendar, which is also good. But just don't get too excited because we have some big bills we have to be that have to be paid in the coming months. Our cash position unrestricted is $2,255,021.57. Restricted is $11,134,848.30, and designated is $7,220,764.39. It's giving us a total cash holding right now of $20,610,634.26. So I want to go back to this. Since we're talking about cash position, just look at that total cash we have on hand. We have 20.6 million, but we know we have at minimum on our project list 17,935,000. So out of that 20.6 million, we know about $2.5–3 million of that is not ours. We can't touch it. It's restricted. So it really brings us to about $18 million of our money that we can spend. So if you look at the projects versus the cash on hand, we don't have any extra money. So that will become more relevant to the board as we make decisions going down the road in the very near future. Discussion items, Chairwoman, the COVID-19 status is the same as last month. The admin and engineering staff are still working from home on a rotating schedule, predominantly working from home. Sometimes they come into the office. The operations staff, as of yesterday, is back to normal schedule. It was a recommendation by Scott that I approved. Our travel policy is still in place. The winter storm that we had several winter storms that we transcended because of the excellent work of Scott and his crew. It went quite uneventful. This month there is 0 escrow accounts being released. Again, as a reminder, sometime later this month we will be we will be submitting accounts to the state to surrender some escrow money. We have 0 connections for this month, but we're still on target for our connections for our annual projections. Christian, do you concur with that? We're still on target?
That's correct. There's basically just 3 major projects, and they're going to happen before the deadline. So we're on target.
All right, thank you. Our continuation of our waiving the interest penalty. As you know, it ended last month and probably in good time. I'll also note there is legislation that just went up. I didn't read too far into it, but someone is proposing, if I understand it correctly, where there is not an amnesty, but a assistance program which would include waiving interest or penalties on taxes and so forth, that there's going to be some requirements from the municipality and also requirements for the authority, but I'll have to circle around with you on that. Actually, Chairwoman, you may know about that legislation. There was a bill that we just voted on. I was on vacation. How much could I read on vacation?
Right, right. I'll look into that.
Yeah. Okay, nothing to report for MCUA or Southbound Brook. The disability insurance broker is in place, working with our staff. New Brunswick Water and Sewer Bill. We did have a meeting with our team and with the New Brunswick team. All I will say with that is we're making progress and there are open items. If you'd like to discuss it more in detail, then we would have to add that to the executive session item list. Christian, I'm going to ask you to report on the archiving project.
Yeah, no problem. So basically, we have a lot of old documents in our archives. So Joe thought it would be a good idea if instead of just having a hard version of this, we digitize it, which is a great idea. So we had a vendor come recently, February 22nd, and they physically took in all the documents, and they're in the process of scanning everything. And once they're done scanning, they're actually going to return it to us. And then from there, we're going to have a discussion internally whether potentially maybe we'll shred it or maybe we'll keep it. But that's where we are right now. It's in the process of being scanned.
Thank you, Christian. Nothing to report for Somerset County Water Treatment Analysis Plan, and nothing to report on bankruptcy. Our GIF broker is also now in place and working with our staff. Christian, can you report on the virus monitoring?
Yeah, sure. So a quick summary basically is we are trying to find some locations to do the sampling for the, to do some sampling so we could send the records to process. The goal of this basically is to ultimately track COVID through the wastewater. And we're just in a position where we're trying to find a good location where to sample.
Thank you, Christian. Nothing new to report on the IRS appeal, but it was submitted by Dominic Deanni for Eric's office. And I thought I would have something to report on a municipal amnesty program, but I see Commissioner Councilman Barrison is not on the meeting tonight. Okay, so now I want to talk about resolutions. I want to slow down a little bit. As requested, so I want to talk about the resolution so everyone understands what their function is, why we're doing it, and give it a dedicated breath to offer the commissioners to ask questions or learn what's going on. So this top category of resolutions are standard operating resolutions. The reason why they exist is they're required by law that we do this. This list is basically mostly moving around money from one account to the other, such as the payroll account, operating account, general fund, renewal and replacement, the North Track, and escrow. These are all but the escrow are separate bank accounts. As a matter of fact, basically, 4 of them have have 2 accounts under that category. No, I'm sorry, that's not true. Some of them have 2 accounts, one in TD Bank and one with Bank of New York, and some just have TD Bank. April, is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. escrow does not have a separate bank account, is that correct?
That is correct. They're set up by each individual's escrow funding.
Right, thank you. So these are somewhat mundane instruments, and we are required to memorialize the transfer of money via resolution. So that's what those are. Most of these happen every month, not all of them every month. That's why we go out of our way to list them, that they exist. You'll see yes or no. This month, escrow is a no. We have no escrow that I reported in my report. Under that are additional resolutions. These are non-standard resolutions, and they are somewhat discretionary. Like, for example, the difference is these standard resolutions, if you don't pass payroll, people are not going to get paid. If you don't pass operating expenses, vendors aren't getting paid. So there's not too much discretion, but it does need your approval. Under additional resolutions, the same thing kind of happens, but in my opinion, they're somewhat more discretionary. So, for example, resolution, let's just say -6, I've just highlighted it here. That's for the East Millstone project. We went out to bid, the bids came in, the engineer confirmed which is the lowest responsible bidder. The attorney reviewed and is in concurrence with the engineer, and it appears based upon the bid submittals and our licensed professionals, that includes the attorney and engineer, that we are obligated to that there is a particular contractor who has won is designated as the best bidder.
Lowest responsible bidder.
Lowest responsible bidder. This resolution is, hey, if you want to continue this project, which I strongly suggest you do, you're going to vote on this. If you vote on this, you're going to vote on it via this resolution. That is your tool to make this project go forward. You have the option of voting no, but then the project doesn't happen. The resolution underneath to that, we'll call that the -7, is the QPA stipend. That is, we pay an extra stipend to our authorities QPA. We don't have a dedicated QPA on staff. That would be inappropriate. The town has one. But this is a stipend that compensates for the extra work, the extra responsibility, and the skill set of the QPA. I find it very appropriate. I hope you vote for that as well. But again, that's what this resolution does. We just can't give someone money. It needs to be authorized, and this resolution is simply memorializing your vote and to this purpose, and it's all in writing. This has been done for years in the past. There's nothing different. This is a renewable resolution that is done every year. The next resolution is -8 and -9. This is simple. Again, it requires a memorialization by the board. There are 2 accounts that we're just simply removing from our billing system because they're not doing business with us anymore. The sewage authority will get contacted by a business or landowner that says, hey, I'm not using this anymore, stop billing me. They contact Christian, Christian does a review, he sends me a report, and a request to remove them, I initial it, he sends a copy to billing and a copy to April, and they say, okay, we're taking it off. But it's not officially off until you vote and authorize that, unless you authorize me to do it without you. If you want to delegate that authority, I think you could, but it doesn't really matter. But this resolution is performing that function. We are removing the account from our system. If someone else then occupies that lot or that building or that business, and they want to connect to our system, they contact us, we re-add it to the system, and they get back into our billing system. That is my review of the resolutions. We do have a closed session, executive session that has 2 issues that I know of at this time. Does any board member have any questions regarding the resolutions? Are you or not comfortable, or want to talk about it in any more detail? No? Oh, okay. Chairwoman, it doesn't appear that any board members have any other questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Chairwoman Devoe and Joe Danielson, is this a good time for you to circle back with Mr. Bernstein regarding Brookline and the authorization by the board?
Yeah, this is a good time. Thank you, April. Mr. Bernstein, how do we proceed?
What are we seeking to do, Mr. Danielson?
Thank you, Mr. Bernstein. What we are seeking to do is to be allowed to commence with the Brookline sewer shed rehab project. The Somerset Street pump station rehab project has already been authorized, at least within the scope of where we're at of what we've done. But we need an authorization to commence with the Brookline watershed rehab.
So
Which
this
would
what we're asking for the board is to authorize CME to move forward to take the appropriate action to start to commence this project, subject to review by the appropriate parties internally and the acquisition of funding.
Okay, so can we have a motion to authorize CME to move forward and the appropriate parties?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
This is Tiwari. Second, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Tewari,
Yes.
and Chairwoman Devoe?
Yes. Okay. Joe, is there anything else that we need to discuss for executive director's report, or have we covered everything?
We covered everything.
Okay.
I apologize for the length of which, but I need to explain a lot because there's a lot going on that we really did not look at in past meetings. I mean, just this list of projects.
I appreciate it. Okay, moving forward, does anyone else have any questions before we move forward? Regarding committee reports, negotiations and personnel, I haven't received a report. Municipal liaison, there is no report at this time. Construction.
Couldn't make to Joe's meeting the other day. I need about a week's notice, and many times I forget. I'm sorry. My apologies.
No problem. No problem. Thank you. And for safety, Scott, has there been any accidents in this month or no?
No accidents or injuries.
Thank you. Thank you to you and the crew as always.
Thank you.
Okay, moving to the consent agenda. All of the items listed are considered to be of routine nature, thereby requiring a motion and a second for all items. If any member wishes to remove an item from the consent agenda, please advise me at this time which resolutions need to be handled separately and will be addressed and voted on separately. So resolution 1 is the payroll account for $179,687 $179,687.74. The operating expense account for $236,908.53. The general fund of $8,783.50. The renewal and replacement, which is $61,017.34, and the North Track Crossing $102,187.63. Do I have a motion to move these resolutions at this time?
Motion, Tiwari.
And a second?
You can make the second, Madam Chair.
I'll second that. Roll call, please.
Ms. Ford,
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Ms. Ford,
Yeah.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Tewari,
Yes.
and Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Resolution for authorizing the board and chairperson, the board secretary, to execute an agreement with DeMayo Electrical Company for the East Millstone Pumping Station Improvements Project on behalf of the Franklin Township Sewage Authority. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
And I'll second that. Roll call, please.
Ms. Ford,
Yeah.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Tewari,
Yes.
and Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Resolution number 7, and this authorizes the stipend for April Roach to serve as authority qualified purchasing agent. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
And second?
I'll second it, Tiwari.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Ford,
Yeah.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Tewari,
Yes.
and Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Resolution number 8, which is the removal of account number 00899 located at 3011 State Road 27, Block 46, Lot 11, for removal from billing with an adjustment of $240.75. This address was disconnected on February 11th, 2021. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion.
And second?
Second, Ford.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Tewari,
Yes.
and Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Resolution number 9, it's the resolution for removal account number 00900 located at 3021 State Road 27, Block 46, Lot 13, for removal from billing with an adjustment of $240.75. This address was disconnected as well on February 11th, 2021. Can I have a motion?
Motion, Tiwari.
And second?
Second, Ford.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Ford,
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Tewari,
Yes.
and Chairwoman DeVoe.
Yes. Can I have a motion to open executive session?
Motion.
I'm sorry, point of order.
Yes.
Eric, before they vote on a motion, executive session, don't you have to summarize what it's for in the topics?
I'll indicate that once I get a motion in a second what it's for.
Do we still need a second?
In opposite order. Because
Let's put it this way. Let's solve the problem. The objective to go into executive session is attorney-client privilege related to various ongoing projects involving the authority as well as attorney advice regarding same. Most notably as to Brookline, East Millstone, Weston Canal, Force Main, and related items.
Thank you. If we could have a second, I believe we had a motion for that, correct? Okay.
Commissioner Ford made a motion.
I'll second.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay.
7:38.